Hello, everyone. So, as promised, here is my quick. I always say quick, but my videos are never quick. But this is my video that I wanted to come bring to you guys. As I stated, of course, in my Facebook post, that I have been a little MIA for a couple of weeks. And part of my MIA-ness comes from me really feeling like I have been experiencing what I was calling anxiety. And so as a mental health professional, and as someone who truly believes in like just a good, well, mind, body, soul, and spirit, I found myself in a place where I thought I was meditating, I was eating well, I was kind of living out my dreams or living a life that I thought that I wanted to live, like being a part of a community that I wanted to be a part of, really taking back my energy from the day-to-day norms, or really being a part of what I would call the culturescape, or what one of these amazing authors that I listen to calls the culturescape. So being a part of this mundane, non-purposeful but kind of purposeful life, and then transitioning out of that to this full force, only purpose, only living by like your divine thoughts, feelings, emotions, waking up and doing everything that you want to do every single day. Quitting my job and moving across the country put me in a situation where I was so grateful that I had the opportunity, so grateful that the opportunity presented itself. What I could not anticipate was emotionally and energetically, mentally, spiritually, like how I was going to feel. I assumed, and there's this assumption, and you listen to these books and you listen to these folks who are like, I chased my dreams and I was able to make this amount of money and I was able to do these kind of things, and I experienced just that overwhelming sense of like, finally, like my time has come. I could leave this 9 to 5 and I can go and pursue my dreams in this particular area. What I did not do is I was intentional about communicating to the universe that I wanted to change my career. I wanted to leave my job. I didn't want it to be under the amount of stress that I had been. And working in corporate America at that time, I was spending about 60 hours probably on average, but it could easily go to 70, 80 hours a week. And we were rolling into fourth quarter, so I knew that would be challenging. But mentally, I thought that I had prepared myself to be able to, or I had the tools and the skills and the resources to either stick it out at my job like I had done for the last 5 years, or I had the tools and the resources that I needed to leave my job and pursue full-time counseling, full-time coaching, full-time therapy. What I did not take into account is, yes, I have the skills, but emotionally, I don't think I built up my emotional reserve the way in which I could have to be able to sustain what it truly means to have power over your life. And that's not to say like in a negative or in a bad way, but I was so overwhelmed. And things took place. My family, things were going on with my family, things were going on with my friends, things are still going on with my family, things are still going on with my friends. So part of what I felt like was anxiety, really was, it really turned out to be this overwhelming sense of like taking back all of my energy and all of my power. And I could not have anticipated that. And so when I would do things, or when I would go out and like try to engage with people and like talk about myself, like there was a lot of shame, there was a lot of guilt, there was a lot of reservations, there were a lot of hesitations where I didn't normally have to call to the carpet in my corporate job, not as much as I had to do at this particular moment in time. And so in realizing, calling me to the carpet, I recognized that yes, I had done some preliminary willpower work, but I had a whole lot more work to do. then I started to peel back the layers of my past and really kind of thinking about things that I have experienced, things that I have or have not done. And thinking back to, I have been offered jobs and I have like canceled like the day before I'm supposed to take my job. I have been in relationships, and the moment that something drastic was supposed to happen, where they'd be leave my job or stay together or something major. I remember events hosting in Statesboro. Like, people would ask me to host events, and I'd be like, absolutely, sure, of course. And then days before, I felt this overwhelming sense of like shame and guilt, and it was anxiety, and I just naturally like cut it off. And so I had compartmentalized that so much that when it showed up this time, I didn't have anywhere to run to, because normally I could just run back to my job or just run to talk to my friends or go back to hanging out or whatever. But in this particular situation, like, I'm on the other side of the country. My total income is based off of what I could or could not do. And that led to more anxiety. And what I called depression, what I called depression was, it felt like I was on like ebbs and flows every day. One day I was really good, really gung-ho, really excited about being in Washington. Like, yes, we're going to make it work. And that's where you probably have saw me post something. Be engaging, be interacting. I was in cahoots with my friends, but there were some days where I was alone and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to be involved with anybody. And I say that I call that depression because it felt like I was negatively reclusing in order to not be seen and to not be heard and to not be bothered and to not be responsible for anybody's emotions except for mine. I now know that part of that is the universe and my consciousness trying to give me ways to protect and like, not necessarily protect, but give myself some time in order to build and do the things that I know that I'm designed and created to do. But also reminding me, like, you still have a lot of self-doubt. You still think you're not supposed to be doing this. You still feel guilty for not doing it or not having the money in the way that you wanted to have, or not, not setting up all of these things in order to do whatever. Like, I still feel a lot of guilt, and I still was feeling a lot of shame. And every time I posted something and nobody liked it, or even when I see my friends don't like any of my shit on Instagram, but they're liking every fucking thing on everybody else's Instagram, and I really feel like I'm being vulnerable and putting myself out there, I recognize that I was tying much of my identity to what other people either thought or what I thought that they thought about me. And I know this concept as a professional. I know this concept as an educator. I know this concept as someone who talks to people about this every day. Like, it's not what I think about me. It's not what you think about me. It's what I think that you think about me. Like, that is always, has always been said. But at this moment in time, I was in it. Like, I was in the midst. I was in, like, worrying and being fearful and thinking, like, I don't have enough credentials to do this. And, like, who's going to listen to me? And, like, do I have anything to say? And are people going to be receptive of it? So, currently in my life, in order to combat that and then really allow myself to feel through that, number one, I'm trying to make sure that I'm very aware of my feelings every single day. In those days where I'm feeling like I don't want to be involved, I don't want to be engaged, I don't want to, like, I don't want to be anything for anyone at any given moment in time, and I just kind of want to stay in my own space. I try to make sure that I assess that time and really how I'm feeling. Now, some of it's just personal time that I do need to take, that I don't need to interact with people, because although I seem like an extrovert, I know that I'm an introverted extrovert. Like, there's a lot of things that's happening mentally and emotionally and things that I just want to keep to myself, but I can definitely be extroverted in terms of, like, building resources and tools and jobs and all those things. But people don't know that I have to work myself up to do that. It is never there's only a few moments in my life where I just feel like I could just turn on and go. Like I could just be super engaging, super social, super easy to talk to. But some of those moments, I'm really building up what we would call my bliss discipline in order to stay in that space. So yeah, so I want to make sure that I assess those times that I'm feeling those ways. And if I'm feeling a way that does feel depressive, where I'm being really hard on myself, where I'm like having this level of, anxiety, where my heart is beating really fast and my thoughts are very negative about myself and how I feel. I can't meditate. I can't, like, it feels challenging to do the things that I would normally do to level myself out. Then I call somebody. I call a friend. And it's sad that my friendship circle has gotten even smaller, or there's just fewer people to call. I'm still working through that as a real person, and that really still bothers me as an individual. And so for all of those people who are like, just get over it and just stop caring about what people think, like, I don't know how the fuck they do it, but that's not me. And I think we do a disservice to too many people in the world just saying, stop worrying about what people think about you. Well, it's not that easy, sis. That's how I feel about it. You don't have to agree. It's not that easy. And for some of those individuals who are like, just stop worrying about what people think about you, they never share the process of how they got there, because society taught us something totally different. In my life, was all about what people thought about you. Since the day I was born to fucking right now, really, it could happen tomorrow. A lot of what I have done and my family has done and who we are based off of what either people thought that we could do or thought about us and outwardly expressed it. And we internalized that for years, especially as African American women. We internalize all of that information. And so it's really important that people just stop fucking worried about what other people think about you. I think it's more important for you to ask the question, what are you gaining from these thoughts that you're having? Like, is it providing you more clarity in terms of your purpose and what you believe? Do you believe what you think that other people are thinking about you? Has somebody actually said those things to you? Doing some of that CBT and combating some of those thoughts and challenging some of those thoughts is a lot more beneficial than a motherfucker telling me one more time to stop worried about what people think about me. Because that is where I'm about to snap on somebody. Okay? So yeah, it was less about wanting, and it's not that I want to worry about what people thought about me, but when people say things or don't say things about me, my brain naturally and my thoughts and my feelings naturally go to this very childlike state in needing approval. So I knew that I had to rebuild and continuously build that up and work on that. But that is a process. That doesn't happen overnight. And when those moments and times come, I have gotten a little better, but they still are coming. And I'm also practicing being unfuckwittable. And so in terms of being unfuckwittable, it doesn't matter good or bad. Like, you don't get to shape my moods. It doesn't matter if you approve of the things that I say or do or not. Like, it doesn't matter at all. So, but that's a learned behavior. Those are learned feelings. Being unfuckwittable is you have to cognitively reprogram your brain. And I think a lot of people just assume that I have always had that mindset because in certain places and in certain spaces I have been able to move in certain ways, but not realizing, like, I have internalized a lot of what people have said or not said about me. And I'm working to uninstall that app. Uninstall that app out of my brain. So saying no to a lot more things, like not giving energy to people who don't give me energy, not doing jobs that I don't feel well in doing, not backing down when I know that I've given something my best. It may just not have worked out, and it did not work out for a reason. And I know and I believe those things. But not attaching my personal being or attaching my personal being to all these external things that are constantly changing. But even as a health professional, and even as someone who has been doing this for a very long time, it's still a process. And when things get rough and you change your whole environment, you change your whole life, it's even more a process. So that is what anxiety and depression felt like for me. But I know when I get really anxious and I know when I'm feeling depressive, I will not diagnose myself with having anxiety or depression. But you emote. Your emotions are here to teach you and allow you to feel. So feel, emote. Don't let anybody tell you that you just have depression. Don't let anybody tell you that you just have anxiety. You don't have to wear those things as badges of honor, but you do get to allow yourself to feel your emotions, and they will pass. It will move on. And the more that I practice my new rituals, the more that I practice being unfuckable, the more that I practice my meditation, the more that I'm challenging myself and putting myself out there. And putting myself out there sometimes looks like me doing a post and closing my eyes and not looking at what people either have to say or have not say, or not checking who has watched my Insta story, or not checking who has went onto my YouTube page, or not checking who has responded to a letter of reference that I have asked them for. Like, things like that make me feel like something. If you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, I automatically start thinking like, damn, like, do they not care about me as much? Does that mean something about me? And again, negatively programming those things in my mind for the last 29 years, I have to and deprogram them. So for years, there has been harm, there has been abuse, there has been neglect. And I just show back up for people, or I did not speak up for myself. I was not very clear about what I wanted and what I needed. And sometimes people took advantage of that. Me not knowing never felt like a thing. Like I could not like I couldn't know something. Like I could not know something. I don't know if that makes any sense. But yeah, having the ability to, people just assume that I got it all figured out and I must know everything, and I gotta know how to choose how to move in my life. And the moment that I start saying like, hey, I don't know, like, people started, being a little different. Or people still just assume that I would figure it out at some point. If I'm saying, hey, I need guidance, hey, I need help, hey, I need guidance, hey, I need help. Just because it looks like I don't doesn't mean anything. And I would hope that it doesn't look like I don't, because that is not the energy that I want to radiate. I want to radiate in humbleness and understanding who the fuck I am on a regular basis and checking myself when necessary. Building relationships, building bonds with people, connecting people when I need to, and not because, and when I want to, and when the universe permits, and not because I'm just here to give you something or you're just here to take and I'm just there to take. I'm not a taker, I'm a giver. And so when I'm saying to individuals, friends, relationships, partnerships, whatever it may be, it's okay. It's okay to let people not know in your life. Like, but don't shame them for it. Like, I have been shamed so much for those things that for a while there in my life, I just stayed silent. And then then the feedback that I received at that moment in time was like, oh, you're being this particular way, or you could seem manipulative, or X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, when I said that I didn't know, y'all have a problem with that. So I'm just going to revert back to my childlike self. And what people fail to realize about my childlike self is I was quiet. I never talked. I barely talked as a kid. In middle school, I was silent for a very long time because I was always picked on about how I talked and what I said. And I always felt inadequate because I was in the gifted program and I went to a predominantly white middle school. And all of those people were from the other side of the tracks. And my mom drove us across the neighborhood to go to the best schools. But with that came a lot of shame. A lot of shame came from that. And the issue that I now recognize is that I haven't been vulnerable enough to share those stories with people, so they assume a lot of things about me. And I'm saying to the people who I'm with, and when I'm working through my depressed state or my anxiety, meet me with some compassion, meet me with some love, meet me with some empathy and understanding, and ask me questions. Talk to me. Like, I think that was part of what I was running into, is that it was now this moment where I was being, asked a lot of questions, and I just didn't know. I didn't want to answer. I didn't know how to answer. I didn't want to talk about my feelings and my emotions, and rightfully, like I should have been, like it was very important for me to do so. And I just recognize in other areas of my life, people have shown themselves, and maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not, but people have shown themselves less interested in what I've had to say. So that makes me very, 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 it makes me very, very apprehensive about sharing anything. So then you see me do it. Like, I could do anything in life. And I'm just running around and doing and taking care of things and getting things done without saying anything. But I really do have something important to say. And so I'm redefining what that looks like for me. I'm just here to encourage all women of color. It is not just you. You are not depressed. You do not have anxiety. You may experience emotions that are overwhelming, that have you way too deep, or not deep enough in terms of how you feel and what you want to do. You have to allow yourself to feel those emotions, and they will pass, whether it's anger, fear, worry, doubt. We experience those, and the moment that we get to experience those, we can experience joy, laughter, fullness, fulfillment, purposefulness. But we got to allow ourselves to have the ebbs and flows, or the Kensho moments, or the Satori moments. I'm hoping I'm saying that concept the best way I know how. It's a newly learned concept in this book that I'm reading, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. I'm actually going back to read it because it's so good. But yeah, like, it's okay. And it doesn't matter what level of profession that you have, what type of engagement that you have with the community. It's okay to feel how you feel. And it's okay when you have to go, you have to go. When you need to stay, you need to stay. If you don't know, then you don't know. Not knowing is sometimes the best place to be. Being nothing at all is sometimes the best place to be, because that gives you room to do anything and be anything. And so if you have toxic people in your life who are requiring things of you, and expecting you to be a person who you used to be, or requiring you to be somebody who you're not even, that's not who you are, then you got to find a way to either cut those individuals out of your life, or really create some boundaries around those things. I have had to create some boundaries around my passion and my mission and my vision. And for a long time, I just have been open. Like, I'm open. If you meet me, I'll be like, "Bitch, I'm open," because I'm just quote unquote open. But that's what I was taught. Learning from the people who are around me, like, open is better than closed. And so most people used to say that I was very closed off. So I went to the totally other extreme and was just very fucking open. What that got me, though, was a lot of things flooding in that I didn't have the tools to decipher or discern whether it was for me or not for me. And so I did it. I jumped at it, and I found myself in even more challenging situations, even more debt, even more, worry and, garnering more shame and more guilt. But now I know how to better deal with it. And I recognize, too, everything happens, for a reason. And so I'm grateful for those moments to be able to come out on the other side and experiencing what I'm experiencing more of now than I was a little while ago. And, I'm just grateful for the lessons. So you don't have to know. You don't have to have it all together. For all of my family and friends who may watch this, I don't know. I don't have it all together. I need your help. I need your love. I need your support. I need you to ask me about my purpose and my vision so it can be as clearly defined for me. Reiterating things that you feel like, supporting either way. And I'm learning to not take feedback one way or the other to move my level of happiness. But it's important for me to know, like, hey, Andrea, you did a good job at this. Or, hey, Andrea, this is where you could have done something differently. The more that I hear that, the less that it's going to hurt and the less it's going to feel harmful. Because I haven't heard a lot of, this is what you could do differently. Because people either don't share or they talking shit behind my back. And I'm just asking for more of that in 2019. Constructive criticism or teaching me things, because I'm a learner and I want to know. So yeah, be open to that, guys, but understanding your purpose and your vision, and tying things back to aligning with who you are and what you want to do, which is what got me back to Atlanta. I recognize that working with people of color, communities of color, is very important to me, and I didn't know that until I left. And so trying to and implementing those things that I have been doing, but also expanding that to a different level is going to give me an opportunity to continue to grow. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you guys for listening and watching. I said this video was gonna be short, but I lied. I'm not gonna edit it. I'm not gonna cut anything out. You're not gonna get any fancy music. You're not gonna get any. You're not gonna get that. Not in this video. So yeah, be on the lookout. Follow I am Andrea Glover on Instagram. I am Developing Company on Instagram. I am Andrea Glover on Twitter. I am Developing Company on Facebook. I am Andrea Glover on Facebook. My YouTube channel is I Am Developing Company. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe. Send to somebody who you think got some time. Y'all sitting around watching 30-minute shows. You can watch me talk about mental health and mental wellness and how it was detrimental to me and my life it felt very detrimental to me.